Are you renting while prepping? Don't be worried, there's definitely good ways to go about it. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper. Today I want to talk to you about renting while prepping. What that means is, are you renting where you live versus buying, or are you somewhere where you're not necessarily permanent and you're in a temporary situation where it's kind of difficult to foresee yourself being able to prep the way you want to because you either don't have the space or you don't have the ability to change the way the place you live is because you don't own it. So this is something that I think about a lot. I owned a home for quite a few years and I recently just sold it. And now we live in a rental. Now this rental is actually pretty nice. It's got a lot of amenities. It's got a lot of things that I need for prepping, but I don't own it. So how does it work when you're renting and you still want to prepare and you still want to homestead and you still want to store things on your property, but maybe you don't have full freedom that you would if you owned your own place? Well, first off, a lot of people don't own their own place. I don't even own my own place right now. And that's okay, because honestly, if you're not 100% sure of where you want to live or what you want out of a home, it's okay to rent instead of trapping yourself into something that maybe you don't necessarily want, okay? And at the same time, the rental market is a little bit easier to access, and for some of us, we're not in a position to buy a home, but we still want to live somewhere where prepping is a possibility and where we can at least do the best we can with what we're able to find on that rental market, okay? So now really quickly, if you do have prepping needs or you have questions about how you're going to prepare in a rental, or maybe you're worried about how you're going to prepare when you don't quite own a homestead or something of the like yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below so that way we can keep discussing about the topic, and then if there's any questions you have, you're more than welcome to leave them in the comments below and I can get back to you on it, okay? So this home is actually pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it's a pretty nice house. And it came up because we basically knew friends of friends who got us into this situation where the housing market is extremely tight where we live right now. Out here in the oil field of North Dakota, it's very difficult to find housing. And if you do find housing, generally it's an apartment or a cabin or a single wide trailer or something like that, because it's all that's available. We were just lucky to actually know somebody who just recently had their tenants move out, and now we live in this house. So this house is exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to a rental while still being able to prepare, okay? We're on our own enclosed water system, which means we have a well and septic, and everything is ran very smoothly and operates very well. All of our utilities are included, which is actually really nice in my opinion. We have an outside area that's really good for preparing. We have about 3 acres that this house is on. Most of it is usable. We have a lot of outdoor space to be able to utilize. There's also already raised garden beds ready to go. There's chicken coops, and there's a few other amenities that make this house really ideal for being able to prepare, okay? Then there's also the inside of the house, which has actually 2 kitchens, which is really nice for if I need to experiment with some of my survival food, right? Good place to set up and actually vacuum seal and do some of those things. There's extra bedrooms. One of them, you see me shoot videos in regularly for most of my firearm related videos. We have a safe built into the stairwell, which is awesome. We also have a lot of space for just entertaining as well as enjoying ourselves, which is very important too. You still want to have good quality of life, regardless if you're prepping or if you're just trying to get by. You still want to enjoy yourself from time to time, right? Okay, so one of the big things for me is having a little bit of property, a little bit of space, having the access to do gardens or chickens or stuff like that if we decide to, and at the same time having the storage space in the home. We have a garage that has a lot of storage space in it, and we also have a lot of rooms and everything downstairs. There's a utility closet where I can put a lot of survival food and stuff like that. There's also room for all my accessories and such that I like to have related to firearms. So all in all, there's really a lot going on for this house, and we don't have to buy it, okay? So this is not the easiest thing to find. If you're worried about living somewhere where you can experience more of like a homestead or at least like a prepper style of life, but not have the funds or the ability to buy a bunch of property or buy a house way out in the woods or anything like that quite yet, then do yourself a favor, do some research, and there are houses on the market that you can rent that still fulfill a lot of those needs. And you know what's really nice? I just left the house situation where I had part ownership of the home and I was just considering whether or not to fully purchase it or not. And I left because all the structural issues the home had and everything else related to it no longer worked for me. And that's the house we just left, and you guys saw lots of videos from there. However, Now, when something goes wrong, aka my septic starts to back up because of the snow melt going on, my landlord's in the door the next day taking care of business and I don't have to touch a thing. So there are some good benefits to renting, but at the same time, if you can't find what you're looking for, just be patient, okay? Don't beat yourself up because you live in an apartment or because you have a townhome or because you're in a house that's in the suburbs or whatever it is. Prepare where you are and do the best you can with what you have where you are. It's the only thing we can do as preppers. And do yourself a favor. Don't beat yourself up over the fact that you don't own a property or own a homestead yet, but just search the rental market. Do your best to find something that fulfills your lifestyle needs when it comes to preparing, and try your best to keep in mind that down the road you can always purchase something, but right now a lot of people are renting and it's actually a good market to be in because who knows what's going to happen with the economy. And it's one thing to rent a home, it's another thing to own it and suddenly be upside down in it, and then you are trapped. And right now, I'm not trapped. If I have to leave suddenly, I can break a lease and I'm out of here. And I don't have to worry about whether or not, I'm going to have to be able to sell the home, whether or not I'm going to be upside down in it, whether or not I'm going to declare bankruptcy, or a million other things that could go wrong. So there's benefits to both. And of course, my end goal is to purchase a home and a homestead and get out, out of Dodge again. Right now I'm working to put some money away to try to make that a reality eventually. But in the meantime, I'm not upset about my rental situation, but I did have to put a lot of time and effort and try to figure something out. And eventually it opened up to me because I was putting all those feelers out there and finally found a place that worked for preparing, for having storage, for having outdoor space, and everything else that you could really want when it comes to being prepared, okay? So a lot of us are in that position. Please, please, please do your best to not beat yourself up over it. If you're in an apartment, you can still prepare. You can still do a lot of things to make that apartment a better place for you in case you ever have to bug in or bug out or whatever it might be, okay? And the same goes for anyone else, no matter what your situation is. If you're in a trailer, you're in a house, you're in a penthouse on top of Manhattan, doesn't matter. You can figure out better ways to prepare and you can still make that work for you in the time being and just plan to do something more down the road, okay? Don't be in a rush. Try your best to prepare and plan wisely. And if you have anything else to say or any other questions or anything like that relates to maybe your rental situation and you want to leave it in a comment below, we can discuss it. I don't mind talking about it. I actually really appreciate a lot of people in this community and what they can do with what they have. I mean, I've seen people with apartments that are able to have more water and more food put away than I can in my own house. And sometimes it's organization and sometimes it's just effort. And if you feel like you're not sure what to do next or maybe you're not sure about your situation, comment below. Maybe somebody on the channel will be able to help you. You never know. And I just wanted to kind of bring this to your attention. I know it's a big deal for a lot of us. I know I'm personally not 100% satisfied with where I am right now. So it's a stress for me and it's probably a stress for you. And hopefully all of us can get to where we want to be eventually and feel really good about where we live, okay? So without anything else to talk about when it comes to renting while prepping, that's going to be it.